Atlantic salmon, the fish that you can find swimming through near streams or deep in the sea with in-betweens. Atlantic salmon are considered to be the king of fish, a deserving title bestowed through tradition starting in 1912. Atlantic salmon have strong cultural and historical significance to many groups of people, especially the Native Americans' culture and history. While these fish were once plentiful in masses, they're now considered to be an endangered species. The title of King of Fish was both a blessing and a curse for the species. It provided a sense of respect for the species, but also became a symbol of sporting. After excessive fishing and changes in the fish's ecosystem, the efforts to restore this great fish's population has never been greater. Atlantic salmon have a very specific migratory pattern that the species tends to follow as a whole. Atlantic salmon are born within the inlands of the coast of the Atlantic, then travel out into the Atlantic Ocean once they're capable to do so. The Atlantic salmon have a geomagnetic navigation system that helps them remember and relocate to their initial place of birth or release. The reason salmon need to remember this specific location is because they return to said location when it's time to mate. There are two main types of salmon that traverse into the ocean from inland: the natural-born Atlantic salmon and the Atlantic salmon released from hatcheries later on into the salmon's life. The salmon that were released into the wild later into their life will traverse out to the Atlantic Ocean as well, returning to the place they were released into the wild when attempting to mate.
Anadromous fish are species born in fresh water, such as rivers or streams, that migrate to the oceans to live most of their adult lives, then return to freshwater to spawn. Two other examples that are native to the Penobscot are blueback herring and maroon saxatilis. These fish also have the same maturity rate, becoming mature enough to return to their natals for sexy time after 3 to 5 years. Whilst the specifics between the species can vary, both of these two species all share this trait with Atlantic salmon. Some examples of anadromous fish are steelhead trout, American shad, various sturgeon species like Atlantic sturgeon, green sturgeon, and white sturgeon, as well as the sea lamprey. Urban development, the expansion of cities and infrastructure, disrupt salmon habitats and alter riverbanks, making it difficult for salmon to spawn and rear. Agriculture, runoff from farms can carry pollutants into waterways, harming salmon and their habitats. Pollution, marine plastics and other pollutants can affect salmon's health and the ecosystems they inhabit. Climate change, rising temperatures can alter ocean conditions and impact salmon's spawning success and overall survival rate. Extreme weather, heavy rains and droughts can wash out or silting in salmon redds, leading to deceased survival for both adults and juvenile salmon. These challenges highlight the need for ongoing conservation efforts to protect salmon and their habitats. There have been many different solutions proposed in order to help with the repopulation of Atlantic salmon in our world. These are solutions that, if upscaled, can greatly increase the Atlantic salmon population to its once plentiful masses. The main solutions proposed and executed are as follows: removing dams, installing fish ladders or elevators, preserving hatchery programs, and creating culverts that are fish-friendly. Most of these propositions strive to allow for better circulation in the waterways that Atlantic salmon use to return to their birth grounds. Both culverts and dams can prevent the flow of fish from properly connecting between their breeding grounds and the Atlantic Ocean. Thus, removing them or making these structures allow passage for Atlantic salmon would remove one of the biggest handicaps in these salmon's travels. Entire dams don't have to be demolished, they can simply just be implemented fish elevators or ladders for the fish to traverse through. Hatchery programs help with the preservation of the species during their infancy, releasing the fish into the wild once the time is right. This prevents the total extinction of the species, but can't be relied on to remove the species off the endangered species list. Some groups and solutions that help the salmon population are the main Atlantic salmon restoration and conservation grants, which help restore the salmon populations. Main Atlantic salmon in law free compensation, an Atlantic salmon recovery program. These groups and solutions all help the law for salmon. Happy fishy, happy home.
If we had to solve this problem with an unlimited amount of resources, we would attempt to make fish hotels. Allowing Atlantic salmon a stronghold to reside within may help with the preservation of the species by positively impacting many struggles that the Atlantic salmon can find lethal in the wild. Much like nature reserves, these fish hotels can provide a safe haven from predators, pollution, and poachers. This location would be very similar to a normal hotel, but be underwater and smaller. There will be fish elevators within the hotel that will be used in order to move between the fish floors. This filtration system will also output the nutrients that can emit off the Atlantic salmon, polluting the waters with positive nutrients instead of negative nutrients. There would be a worker that would be tasked with only letting in Atlantic salmon through a secure door in order to prevent predators and other dangers that may pose a threat to the salmon. Because of the protection the front gate provides, it would prevent fishers illegally killing the species and predators of the Atlantic salmon alike from harming the fish population. Another problem that's prevalent for Atlantic salmon, especially when traveling to mate, is death from exhaustion. These salmon often use most of their energy to get back to their birth grounds, being vulnerable to threats and overexhaustion on the travel back. Allowing these salmon a place to rest would allow them to survive these extreme conditions, thus regaining their energy.